Welcome, I'm Jonathan Whitcomb again, August 10th, 2023. Today we have something related to cognitive biases, confirmation bias, and it's in the largest web page in the world, I believe, on the subject of living pterosaurs, and this is a web page which is extremely negative. I'm not going to give the name of the web page nor the author. I don't want anyone to see it because it's very misleading. So here's this thing. I give this particular writer the abbreviation KGCB. CB I use for cognitive bias. That's not part of his initials, but I not want anyone to give his name because I don't want anybody going there. Gives you an example of the problems with it. It was many years ago, I guess about 19 years ago or so, that he put up this web page in its original form. It's much smaller now. It's 41,161 words. Whew. He mentions my name, Whitcomb, Whitcomb, my name 443 times. Put that in perspective. There are many web pages online. Typical ones are up to 200, 300, 400, some of them longer, but many web pages online that you'll find, blog posts and so on, are less than 400 words total, and yet in his website it has my name 443 times, not with a pronoun like he or his or that kind of. I mean, actually spelling out my last name 443 times. That doesn't mean that in itself is not evidence I'm saying that there's anything wrong with it. He doesn't insult me or say that I'm a bad person or anything like that. Nothing like that. It's just it is so biased. Let me give you an example. In the early years after he started first putting up his web page, at the very beginning, it revealed to people what his motivations were. Why would he write such a long web page, trying to convince people that living pterosaurs are nonsense and non-existent, and all pterosaurs became extinct millions of years ago? Why would he do that? And it says right there at the beginning, it said at the time, years ago, I should say, that he was trying to protect standard models of geology. In other words, he wanted people to keep on believing the same thing they always have, that they've been taught about standard geology models. When I brought that up and revealed that on one or more of my web pages, very soon after that, I saw that he had changed his website a little bit. That page no longer had that revelation near the beginning. It was hidden way down near the bottom. So I don't know for sure. Of course, I'm not read his mind, but I believe that KGCB was trying to not let people know about that. But basically what it means is, why would somebody write tens of thousands of words on one web page to convince people around the world to just keep on believing what they already believe? It sounds a little weird to you. He was afraid. He had a fear, and that fear can cause a person to not think clearly and be logical and completely objective. So here's the thing. There's one particular place, and he lists the very beginning, the very first words that he has today when I looked on his webpage, the very first words of the regular text, not context, not contents or other things, but the regular text is this, quote, "a handful of young Earth creationists," unquote, and so on. That's how he starts the first sentence. Well, in reality, modern pterosaurs actually don't have much to do with biblical creationists, except for certain researchers, and they're associates of mine. But the vast majority of eyewitnesses are not creationists. And those who are interested in it are not necessarily creationists, and they're just that happens to be some of the researchers who have a greater interest in this subject. that believe in the Bible. But that shows you he's just trying to get people to think of this as being a very biased position about living pterosaurs, but in reality his position is very biased. I use this expression, quote, motivated reasoning. Confirmation bias in particular. I brought this up to him once. Years ago we were communicating on occasion. And on this particular day, I brought up the subject of confirmation bias, and I told him something like this. Do you know that you seem to have fallen into some confirmation biases in your research? And he'd never heard about that before. And he kind of dismissed it and didn't want to consider that possibility, that there's anything wrong with his logic or reasoning or his bias or objectivity. But there's so many things wrong in this webpage. I don't want people to read it. One of the things he says, let me see if I can get it here. He shows this, it's a sketch that I know was drawn by Susan Wooten, the Eyewitness, South Carolina, years ago. I know because she sent it to me, and he says it's not, she didn't draw it. I think he says something like, yeah, it's misleading for me to use that. But all he needs to do is ask Susan Wooten or me, and she would tell the truth. Yeah, she drew it. I would tell the truth. She drew it. But no, apparently he spends years with this thing here saying that it's misleading that Susan Wooten didn't draw this, but she did. No, I just recommend people just keep away from the webpage. Thank you.